more than ever. Before we get into it, the Voyager documentary. Tell us about that, please, because it's a big deal, and we're going to have a premiere in the city on Monday night.
Yes. Are any of you coming to the premiere Monday night? Yay! So, I'm going to tell you a secret, because you're all friends. I still have my makeup on from the premiere in LA last night. So,
she flew the red eye.
I flew the red eye last night to get here for you guys, and it was freaking fantastic. I'm very, very, very proud of this project, and to any of you that are here that have donated to it, we really could not have done it without you. It's been 4 long years, 2 elections, and COVID, but we finally got it done. And we had Robert Beltran, Tim Russ, Garrett Wong, who am I missing? I'm missing an actor. That's terrible. There was another guy, Tim Russ, Robert Beltran, Garrett Wong. My brains. No, from Voyager. It'll come to me. Anyway, we had all the production crew, Rick Berman, Brandon Braga. It was a really great night. So I'm really looking forward to whoever is coming on Monday night. And by the way, there are tickets still available for it. And if you haven't bought tickets, I highly encourage you to come. Robin will be there. I'm bringing Terry Farrell with me. Kate Mulgrew is going to speak before the film and introduce it. I just found out that Ethan Phillips is now able to join us, so it's going to be a fun night.
Who was the motor? What was the motor behind this getting done?
Well, Dave Zappone, who owns 455 Films, he's already done all those documentaries with Bill Shatner for the last 12 years. And then he did For the Love of Spock. And then I joined his company 5 years ago and for the DS9 documentary, which I know many of you have seen. And this Voyager just was next in line. So we decided to do it, and we reached out to the fans and made more money we broke records for a documentary crowdfunding adventure. Almost $2 million. And that's thanks to all of you.
Yeah. Is it premature to ask what the next project might be?
Well,
Are you in talks?
Well, so if you're here on Sunday, I have a panel with Dave Zappone and Ryan Husk, and we will be showing a couple sizzles of upcoming projects. We showed one last night that was gangbusters. And the next show in line, of course, is Enterprise. So we've talked to the guys about it. I think they'd be up for doing it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So
it's not quite as sizzly, but this year, as you know, was the 40th anniversary of the release of Star Trek III: The Search for Spock, right?
That's right.
And right out of the gate, I'm just grateful I'm still alive and breathing and upright, and can be in this moment. It's been a beautiful year, lots of, again, beautiful connections. You know, the gift to me of Star Trek has been friendship and travel and all of you, sincerely. And one of the things that came about, in addition to just being more, invited more often and being able to come out and play with all of you, was the Tenutos. Do you guys know John? And they call her Mary Jo, but it's Maria Jose Tenuto. They're writing the making of Star Trek 3. Now, I can't imagine why 40 years later suddenly it's being written, but there you go. And we did a 3.5-hour Zoom this summer. And apparently I offered to write the foreword, and that only came back to bite me a couple of weeks ago when they sent me the 260-page manuscript to read and then to write the foreword to it. Of course, I was enormously honored to do so. But again, not as sexy as the Voyager documentary, but honestly, guys, it was a really good book. And I lived it, and yet it was sort of a way to sort of peek behind the curtain and to feel like I went back again to understand why decisions were made at the time, who made them. This was such a collaboration of so many great minds, Harv Bennett and Leonard Nimoy and all the people at ILM, and just really, really talented craftsmen and model makers and
things are so different now. They don't have model makers anymore.
Isn't that wild? They don't. Well, why? Is it all TGI?
it's kind of sad because some of the crew that were at the Voyager documentary, like Dan Curry and Ron B. Moore, not the writer Ron Moore, these guys, they're retired anyway, but their jobs really don't exist as they did. Yeah, but it's a different world in every way, obviously. But Trek keeps on going.
Trek keeps on going, and you can look for their book, guys. I believe a final manuscript will, or whatever, will be due by the end of the year to the publisher, and it'll come out sometime early in 2025. So you have that to look forward to. What I admired about them was that they did such in-depth interviewing. They interviewed even Vaj Portenza, who's in the film for 6 seconds as the young Spock. But his memories are very precious and very sincere, which is so nice. And Stephen Manley, apparently he got to know Harve Bennett enough to spend time with him at his house. I never knew they had a relationship. Anyway, I was way too shy back then to have those kinds of relationships. They were like teachers to me. Like you don't cross the line. You don't go outside the classroom type of thing. Well,
but shy is not a word that goes with Robin Curtis.
Oh, and I am. I'm terribly shy. I know you wouldn't believe it.
Well, going on what you said, for me, the greatest part of this Voyager documentary was that I was the one that got to interview everyone.
Yeah.
I interviewed almost 100 people for this documentary. So for me, I worked on that show, and I was at Paramount for 15 years on Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager, and 25 years had gone by on Voyager. So for some of us that don't get out on the conventions, people hadn't seen each other in a long time. So those interviews were really precious, and it's important because you can't put words in people's mouths. So the fact that these writers really did their homework is going to make that book special. Yeah. So, by the way, would love to hear from you. So if any of you do have questions, please feel free to line up at the microphones. I don't want you to feel like we don't want to hear from you because that's why we're here.
And just to kind of give you a current snapshot of my life,
Yes.
I retired from the business in my early 40s. Meryl Streep had kindly and wisely offered to the actors back in the day, the female membership of the Screen Actors Guild. She's made it clear how lopsided the number of roles for women in jobs and things that film, that television shows that were being written at the time would diminish, especially older women, and yet the group of talented women in that pool would remain the same. So clearly, the odds were against you that you could continue, that you could continue to work at the pace that you did in your 20s and 30s once you hit your 40s. And lo and behold, there I was in my early 40s and not working as much. Knowing that day would come, I never had an illusion that I was going to, that service was going to take me into my 80s or something like that. So in any case, I connected with an old friend from my growing up years. We fell in love. I moved to Cincinnati. I got married, and I left the business. And the marriage didn't work out. And I jokingly say I played the role of the Midwestern housewife for 3.5 years, and the show closed. So there I was with my tail between my legs. Do I go back to Los Angeles or do I go home finally? And I really missed upstate New York where I grew up. I live outside Syracuse, New York now, and I have for 21 years. And for 20 years I've been a real estate agent because I fell madly in love with the man who came to renovate my home. I live in a 200-year-old house. By the way, now that I'm in real estate, I know that it's a completely inappropriate purchase for a woman in her mid-40s to buy a 200-year-old village home that I will have to pay village taxes on for the rest of my life and get nothing for it, other than an easy walk into the village. But they don't take my garbage, they don't pay for my septic, they don't pay for my sewer, they don't pay for my water. Anyway, the long and short of it is, I'm in a house that I adore, and I fell in love with the contractor, and that's how I got into real estate. I repped him for 17 years as a builder. That relationship ended. He moved to Florida to build homes there, and I continue to be a real estate agent. And I'm sort of riding now the crest, I think, guys, to my retirement. I'm looking at the sign, the exit sign. Are some of you there by any chance? And yes, and we're trying, right? And we're trying to figure out, okay, did I save enough? Did I do this right? I've been dating on Bumble and Match and eHarmony and pretty much much anybody with a pulse over the age of 60 in the Syracuse
She's not picky, by the way. So if anybody's free tonight, we're staying next door.
Honestly, guys, my greatest love right now, other than Star Trek and this lovely summer that I've had, reconnecting with all of you so much more often, I play pickleball every day. I'm crazy about it. And if you haven't tried it and you don't think you're athletic, try it. Because you don't have to be athletic. It's such a good-natured, kind, fun. I'm laughing most of the time. My diaphragm is getting the greatest workout when I play pickleball. Check it out, because it's for people of all ages, and it doesn't discriminate. It welcomes all comers to the court, and it's changed my life. I've been playing for 2.5 years, and I love it. So there you go. That sort of gives you a little window into my life. I play cards with my family as much as I can. Popcorn is our love language. We binge stuff on television. I play pickleball, and I work hard as a real estate agent, and now and then again, you pull me out for this kind of love, which I love.
You want to, there's popcorn for sale.
Okay, I'll be sure to have something before we get those out. Anyway, Edwin, somebody, anybody.
Well, they have people lined up.
Oh, they do?
Yes.
Oh, goodness gracious, you're way over there, for heaven's sakes. Hello.
Hi, I was just wondering what kind of concerns or trepidation you had as an actor to step into a role that originated by a different actor.
Oh, what a sweet thought. Yes, over the years, that has been a common inquiry. What was it like to step into the role that somebody else played? And I can only imagine, I wasn't there in that room, but I think Harv Bennett and Leonard Nimoy must have had a conversation, and they decided to simply just not bring it up. And I'm not joking. It was never discussed with me by anyone but Merritt. Now, and I can appreciate that because actors do that with each other. They share backstories and they try to get on the same page. And if there had been an energy or a dynamic that had been established between Merritt Buttrick, who played David, and Kirstie Alley, who played Saavik in the first film, then he would want me to know that. He would want to share that with me. And so, actor to actor, I took his sharing as the loving gesture that it was. But Harv and Leonard never ever mentioned her to me once. It's as if the character were being born anew at that point when I was cast. And I can appreciate that maybe that was the tactic too, because they each had such different ideas. The collaboration between Nicholas Meyer and Kirstie was one direction for the character to take, and the collaboration between Leonard Nimoy and I was another direction. And obviously Leonard was very strict, very, very with the Vulcan angle prominent, and I relished that. I was just completely putty in his hands. I called me his Gumby, and that he could shake me as he chose. I literally did. I shook his hand the first day of work. I said, Mr. Nimoy, you seem to think I know what I'm doing, and I said, I do not. Please let me make it clear to you, I do not. And he said, Robin, I'll take you every step of the way, and I will not leave you dangling out on that limb. And he kept his promise, guys, and that's something I will be grateful to the day I die for. He would say, okay, let's hear it. And he would take me over to the edge of the soundstage, and we would sit just on stairs like this over here. And he'd say, okay, and I would say the lines. And literally, he would moderate me as if he had an equalizer in front of him, or a receiver, or whatever, where you do the treble and the bass and the this and the that. And I loved it because I needed it. And so things like David is dead, that line was exactly as he chose to make it. And I was just a vessel for what he wanted. But between you and I, those are the things that gave me anxiety. Like, oh my God, how do you convey to someone that their son has died without emotion? Well, you can't, right? So I guess I'm hoping that somewhere, somehow, in the eyes, through the skin yourself, you are conveying the profundity of that and the reverent moment that it is. And I know that David Manley and I both hoped that we had done that in the Pon farr scene. We didn't know what Vulcan foreplay would look like. And I didn't know, guys, this is another sort accident. I didn't know till this past summer, and I did the interview with the Tenutos, that this was a gesture that had been originated in the series. It was a 40-year-old gesture, or a 50-year-old gesture. What a dope. So I really did go into work that day not knowing what we were going to be touching, which body parts would touch which body parts, and just how far that would go. But I knew, one thing for sure, one thing that was totally true was that Stephen Manley and I were both dedicated to giving that the solemnity and the seriousness that it deserved. Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
please.